Do wish they'd say progress, not progress. The first thing that always sort of gets to me whenever I'm doing a session. So welcome. Welcome to those who are joining me live. Welcome to those who are on the replay. I've just been told that there may be a little bit of an issue with getting onto the Zoom link because of the passcode. So if you are watching this on replay and you try to join us live, please accept my apologies and I will look into this before the next session. We run these sessions every fortnight. We cover an area around money, finance, wealth, financial behaviours for individuals to take to your teams, to take out to your families, your communities, in a way that perhaps you've not thought about it before. So this is never just your typical, budget, go and take financial advice stuff. There's plenty of places that you can go to for that. This is designed to get you thinking a bit differently. If you think differently about your own finances, you may be able to make a shift in your own financial results that really can make a difference to your life or the way that you feel about things. That you might reduce your stress levels around money. You might have better conversations at home. You might be able to go to work not feeling quite such a weight on your shoulders. If you are here because you are working with other people around their finances, then some of this will help you have slightly different, I'm not saying necessarily better conversations, because we all have our conversations in our own ways. But it might help you see things from a different point of view. Sometimes we simply need to step outside of our own lens and look at it from another one. So, if you're helping other people, then this may help you. If you are in a workplace, you may see other people that you're working with struggle with their finances in some way or another, but they don't know how to talk about it. Maybe this will give you a little bit of an idea on a way that you can approach this, or simply it might just lead you to think, perhaps there's something going on there. I'll cut them a bit of slack and give them a bit of space. So, whatever you are here for, whatever your own reason is, hopefully this will help you see things in a slightly different way. Now, last time I did this call, no word of a lie, my slides were moving on and I wasn't even touching anything. So, we'll see how we go this time. There are only a few slides, it's not death by PowerPoint. The idea is that we have about 20 minutes talking about this stuff. Feel free to pop your questions, comments in the chat if you want to. For those that are on replay, feel free to reply to one of the emails that we send with any questions or comments. And then at the end of the session, we turn off the recording. And for those that are on here live, if you have any questions that you want to ask or raise that you don't want to be seen by others, then this becomes your safe space to be able to do so. Oh, and breathe, Kim, breathe. So, for those of you who don't know me, this is what I am incredibly passionate about. I can talk about it for a long period of time without taking a breath. But I have a career in finance as a stockbroker, as a wealth manager, as a trust and taxation lawyer. But after 30 odd years of having those conversations with all of those people around their finances, I knew that I needed to get the conversation going in a different way. I wanted to have different conversations with more people. And so in the pandemic, I left my employed role. I gave back my regulated status and I went completely self-employed, no conflict of interest, so that I could have absolutely honest conversations with people and address the things that they need to address in a safe space in a way that works for them. So this is what I spend my time doing, one-to-one with clients, in groups, in workplaces, because these conversations are too important and every aspect of our life has a financial implication. So this morning's LinkedIn post talks about the fact that it's Carers Week, unpaid carers, people who are giving up time at work to look after somebody, a baby, a sibling, a partner while they're ill, an elderly parent, are often, suffering not just in the moment because they're unpaid, but long term because they're not getting future pension contributions and that sort of thing. Everything we do has a financial implication, and I have a lot to say about all of these things. So let's cover today's topic: how we can hold on to more of our money, build our wealth in a way that feels good and actually sticks. Now, this is not a lesson in how to go and find a financial advisor or a wealth planner. There are lots and lots of people in your network that you already know who can help you with that. If you need a financial planner or a wealth manager or an accountant or whatever, then reach out and I will help you with my network. But this is all about, the internal stuff, starting from the inside and going out. So we're working harder, we're earning more money, we've got more wealth coming to us through inheritances, through sales of businesses, through bonuses at work. There's lots of reasons why we've got more than ever before coming our way, but it doesn't stick, it doesn't hang around, and it doesn't become real wealth that then is there for your long term and for your future. So there's no point in looking for a financial advisor or wealth manager if the money's coming in and it's going straight out again, if it's not sticking around and giving you the life that you really want. So we're going to look at some of that. We're going to look at ways in which you can not just look at the income. Often my clients say, I'm earning more, or I just need to earn more, and then it will be okay. High income doesn't mean security. It doesn't mean, wealth. It doesn't mean legacy. It just means that you've got money coming in. It's not enough. Whether you manifest it, whether you earn it, whether you win it, whether you have it coming through from dividends from your portfolio. If it's coming in, great. But if it's going straight out again, something isn't sticking. We're going to look at why our emotions are, a key to a lot of this, and how we can stop them sabotaging our wealth planning, our wealth creation, our long-term wealth and our future wealth for our next generation, and how to change some of this and actually get habits that stick without any feelings of guilt, without feeling that I just need to work harder, I just need to hustle more, I just need to do whatever it is that you're constantly telling yourself. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is to consider, what's happening internally. And, quite often we simply fail to upgrade our operating system. We do so with everything else around us. We are constantly upgrading the things around us in order to get what we want out of our life, our career, our travel, our technology, our communications. We are upgrading. We've moved on so far over the last few years in terms of the hardware that we have, the computers, the mobile phones that we have, the sat navs that we have, the clothes that we wear. But it's not just enough to, to buy the thing. We upgrade. We are constantly doing updates on our laptops. We're constantly doing updates on our phones. We are, often given an opportunity to, put a new system in, go from Windows whatever to Windows whatever, or, on our Macs, on our iPads, to upgrade constantly because the old stuff was working before, but it has moved on. There is better out there, and we want to bring that new stuff in. So on a surface level, we might think we're doing that. I've got a new career, I've got a new pay increase, I've got a new job title, I've got a new goal. But if actually what we're working within is still outdated, our outdated beliefs, then we've got to somehow upgrade that to catch up with what's external. It's a bit like if you had an old microchip or an old floppy disk and you were trying to put that into your nice new shiny Mac. If you manage to do it, the nice new shiny Mac, no matter how nice and new and shiny, is not going to work with it. So what you think you've got, what you're working with, isn't necessarily, good enough anymore. That doesn't mean that you're not good enough. It means that we've got to update ourselves. We've got to upgrade it. So when you have your sat nav, the old days we used to have a TomTom. Well, no, the old days we used to have a map or an A to Z. I am that old. Debbie probably isn't. But then we got TomToms, sort of 2005 and whatever. Everybody had a TomTom, but we had to upgrade it. We had to pay a subscription to upgrade it. Then we got built-in sat navs. It was all very exciting. but you still have to upgrade them. They need to know what's happening in your area. They need to know what new roads are being built. It's not enough just to have the same TomTom that you had in 2005. Doesn't cut it anymore. So we need to keep moving forwards. So we will update absolutely anything that we can, our LinkedIn bio, our Instagram bio, our about section, our CV, but are we actually working with an old system inside? Is it still a little bit cranky, a little bit damaged? Has it got an old virus in there? How can we work on that? And when we start looking at some of those elements that make that up, we can start spotting what is it that's holding us back from creating, building, and holding on to wealth. So it might be, for example, and these are just three of the most common examples, it might be that we're driven by our emotions. Doesn't matter what we want, where we've managed to get to, if we are bringing that money in and emotionally we are programmed to spend when we are low, we spend when we need a dopamine hit, we spend when we are stressed, we go for a bit of retail therapy, or when we're tired or when we're bored. If we are wired in that way, if we've created habits that lead to the money coming in, but then the emotion dictates how we spend it, how we get rid of it, then it doesn't matter how much you earn. If you're still tired, stressed, bored, alone, angry, looking for that quick fix, in need of a dopamine hit, that money will go out. And when it goes out, it does not build wealth. So, what do we do as an alternative there? We need to look at other ways. First of all, we need to recognize the emotions. And then we need to look at other ways that we can satisfy those. If I'm bored, what can I do instead of spending money? And then where can I put that money that I would have spent in my boredom moment into something that's going to build me longer term wealth? And how can I then show my emotional system that I love that? That gives me a good feeling. That is my retail therapy. I love seeing my wealth grow. I love checking my bank account and seeing that the money's still in there. That gives me my lift. That stops me getting bored. I can look at my pension statement all day long or whatever. So recognize that, is it an emotion? What is it attached to? What is your alternative? And how can you then show your operating system that this is the new version? Looking at my bank account is exciting. It serves me a whole lot better than spending on something that I don't need and then I regret. That's my old operating system. How can I shift that? How can I reprogram? So our emotions key make such a difference when we pay attention to them. And we all have something. We boredom eat, or we stress eat, we stress spend, we boredom spend, or when we're angry, anything. So the second one is, are we still operating on an old version of us from what might seem like a different lifetime? Might be a different lifetime. Are we still living the things that we lived and expected and therefore respond to automatically earlier in our life, whether that was fairly recently, whether that was pre-pandemic, whether that was in our childhood, or whether that's our parents' messaging. So if we've ever been in a situation where money isn't easy to come by, or it is just easy come or easy go, or we're living payday to payday, or we're struggling in some way, that is still in our makeup, in our DNA. And we are still living that unless we prove that there is another way. So our nervous system is going to bring us back to what we know. That feels safe because it's there, it's familiar, it's what we know. And so even though we have, goals, even though we have, a bigger salary, if our safety option is to be broke, to live payday to payday, to not have any money, to have it come in and then go straight out again, then our income says one thing, our nervous system says another. And unless we really, work on overriding that every single time with determination and motivation, that nervous system will still bring us back to that point of safety. So we need again to show that nervous system, which is all through us. It is us. It is who we are. It is what we are, what keeps us safe, what keeps us to fight another day. We need to show it that the alternative is out there and is just as safe, if not safer. My wealth building is my new safety. I feel safe when I do this more so than when I do that. So if we're still living an old version of us, we need to update it. We need to reprogram it. We need to show it that there's an alternative to sticking the old floppy disk in. So still operating like the previous version of you, the broke version of you, or what your parents did. Some of this will be in your makeup. Some of it will be experiences that you've had growing up. Some of it will be more recent experiences, relationships, jobs that went wrong, pandemics that threw everything out of kilter, that sort of thing. It's not just a particular period of your life. And the third one that I've got here is simply not paying attention and respecting what's going on. If we don't pay attention to something, then it might go off on its own agenda. It might, if you're not paying attention to what's coming in or out, how do you build wealth? Now, for some people, I know that they're lucky and it will just steadily build, but they could be doing so much more with it. If you don't pay attention to something, it can be damaging. If you don't pay attention to your health, you will end up with ill health more often than not. If you don't pay attention to your relationship, guess what? They're going to go and look somewhere else. If you don't pay attention to your kids, they're going to nag harder until you do, or they're going to go off the rails and find somebody who does pay them attention. So pay attention to your finances, make time for it. Anybody who says they haven't got time but is scrolling on their phone and looking at, TikToks of cats and snippets of Clarkson's farm, they have got time to do their finances. They have got time to rewire. 20 years ago, we weren't looking at TikTok. We made time for TikTok. We can make time for this. So pay attention to it. Give it the respect that you want it to have, the respect that it deserves. And just like anything else, it will serve you better. Pay attention to your health. You'll have better health. Pay attention to your relationship. You'll have a better relationship. The same goes for money. So they're three of the common saboteurs that we have, that when we actually realize that that's what we're doing, they're quite easy to turn them around. So just to build on that, think about what it is that you want. Envision your future. If you can't picture it, how are you going to know what it is that you're working towards? So, be quite specific. Don't just say, well, I want to hold on to more money. What does that mean? I want to hold on to more money and build wealth by doing this so that I can do what? I can have what impact? I can sleep better at night. I can have better conversations at home. I can, build a legacy for my children or to the cat's home that I want to support. I can, build this wealth so that I can have a better retirement. What does that look like? If you don't know what it looks like, then reprogramming that thing is going to be quite difficult. If you just gave that microchip to Apple and said update it, they're going to go, well, what do you want from it? We have to do the same. Know what it is you want, and then you can work with it. Understand what that wealth looks like for you. Is it just a financial figure? If it is, why? What does that financial figure then lead you to do? So, wealth is so much more. It is our social life, it is our friendship circles, it is our opportunities to travel, it is different things for different people. If we are simply attaching wealth to a financial figure, we might be missing out on so many other things. We might be so tunnel visioned on that financial wealth building that we forget to have fun, that we forget to enjoy life, that we forget to take the opportunity. Often in my stockbroking days, we would have clients who would feel guilty about spending their money. They would ask us permission as their stockbroker if they were allowed to take out £20,000 to upgrade their kitchen. Isn't that a shame? And there were a number of people who said, "Oh yeah, I nearly did. We nearly went to. We nearly did that. We nearly sent our children to that school." And And actually, that's all part of your wealth building. It's not just what you have financially at the end of the day, it's what you've been able to achieve, what you've been able to enjoy, and who you've been able to support and impact along the way, whether that's your family, whether that's your community, whether that's your business, your employees and your clients, or whether that is, a charity or whatever. If you are driven by those emotions, the power of the pause is huge. When we learnt the Green Cross Code, we learnt to stop, look, and listen. Don't just walk out in front of the car. Even if you think there's no car there, still stop, look, and listen, and then stop and look and listen again. So do the same before you spend. Why am I spending? Do I need this? Is it going to satisfy that boredom, that stress, that tiredness? Am I driven by needing the thing, wanting the thing, getting joy out of the thing? Or am I driven by emotion and actually it's not going to suit me? So what could I do to break that cycle, recognize that emotion, and then do something else that will make me feel better? If I'm bored, could I go for a walk? What else could that do? That could clear my head. It could get my steps up. It could have so much more benefit as well as saving the money that you're spending on scrolling while you're bored. And don't be afraid of having that reset or that reboot or a complete new upgrade around your finances. You do it for your phone, you do it for your LinkedIn bio, you do it for your laptop. Why don't you do it for your finances? And that means that if you're not happy with your accountant, get a new accountant. If you're not happy with your wealth manager, get a new one. If you're not happy with the advice that your tax lawyer has given you, go and find another one. If you need to do that work on yourself, then do so. Just because this is where you are does not mean that this is where you've got to stay. If you're not happy with that salary, guess what? You can either become happy with it or you can go and get a new one. So the reset, the reboot, the upgrade is always an opportunity for you to move forward, to catch up with your external. But it's a dual thing, internal and external. So 20 minutes goes by very quickly, doesn't it? So as a recap, the power's not given to you. You have to take it. You have to own it. So take that power. Take what it is that you need to do to get where you want to be. Upgrade your internal wealth operating system to match the opportunities that are available and out there to you externally. Spot your saboteurs, spot those emotional patterns, spot the reasons why it comes in and then it doesn't convert to wealth. Maybe you're not recognizing what wealth is. Maybe you are still living old stories. Maybe you are spending when you are stressed or out of habit. And then when you recognize those changes, make them stick. Don't just say, oh, yeah, I spend when I'm bored. That's just a recognition. It's not an action. Making that change and finding new ways of working when you are bored will form those new habits. And your automatic response, your nervous system will know that it's safe to do something else, like put your shoes on and go for a walk. And so that will become your automatic response. It will become the new habit that will stick, that will make you feel healthier and wealthier in so many ways. So, different call to action on the end slide this time. Before I turn the recording off, for those that are on live, 3 ways that you can work with me at the moment, or 3 ways that you can explore this further. The first one is that at the end of this month, Debbie's already doing this, aren't you, Debbie? There is a mini course, 7 days, 20 minutes a day, how to, get those internal things changing, recognized, moving, find the wealth within and how it relates to the external wealth. Some of those areas that you might not realize can be really powerful when you work on them. So come and join me for that. There's an offer at the moment for 3 months of one-to-one coaching at only £295 a month. So that is to celebrate the fact that I am in the Sunday Times Alternative Rich list this year. Still dining out on that one. I'm still very excited about it. Okay. And for anybody who wants to tackle those emotional angles, go on to my website, Your Money Brain. There is a toolkit there that will help you recognize some of the emotional aspects of your spending, or your fear of not spending. It's not all about spending money. It might be why I hesitate to invest my money, why I hesitate to have that conversation. What is the emotion behind it? How can I recognize it? How can I change it and build those new patterns? And that is entirely free on that website as well. And do connect with me on my other website or on LinkedIn if you're not already there. So, on that note, I will stop screen sharing. Was it she sharing? Was it sharing? Sharing. Don't know why it suddenly said it suddenly seemed to be sharing, not sharing. Okay, like I say, I'm in tech. And I'm going to stop recording. Those on replay, feel free to send me an email or connect with me on LinkedIn and send me a message if you have any questions or comments.